It isn't my typical MO to be looking for pictures or videos making fun of these disturbing remnant leaders. I've actually been pretty kind as far as there have been more embarrassing things I could have put out, but chose not to. But someone recently sent me a text thread with some incredibly inappropriate videos. More examples of remnant leaders mocking some people they all knew was overweight. Now, this is something of a personally interesting thing, as I've also been made fun of so many times I can't count. I've had leader Joseph Langston saying I'm the elephant in the room in front of 20 or 30 people in the sanctuary when I was still there. Of course, there was Gwen's constant, sarcastic weight mocking or fat shaming, and much more, even after I left Remnant. Now, as you see here, an example on another cracking up with fun leadership text thread. Keep in mind, this is after I left the church. I wasn't even on this thread. Someone sent it to me. It has a lot of remnant leaders on it, including Elizabeth. They were making fun of overweight guys walking around and sitting at a Nashville Predators game at the arena. You can clearly see Rob Day pointing out people like to Aaron L., my ex. We were separated at the time. Someone, for someone that she could possibly be married to. And then leaders on the thread are making laugh emojis as Rob is saying, he will grow into his father, laughing at his dad's look and weight sitting next to him. And then Rob makes a complete, definite, hurtful jab against me, saying to Aaron L., as they call her, that she already had that experience with me, referring to my weight and David Shamblin's weight. And keep in mind, once again, this is with 20 plus leaders on a text thread. This is certainly hard for me to put out, but you all in Remnant need to know these are your Christian leaders. This is their almost everyday sort of behavior and ways of talking when they're among each other, especially when they're drinking. This is something of a self-abasing sort of way to show these things, of course. It's embarrassing for me. These are hurtful things that I've had to go through. Like when I stood outside the Remnant Church building supporting someone who was quietly protesting this sick church. And while I was Facebook live streaming it, Remnant youth, the Lizzie youth as I call them, like Jesse Ottinger, Ariel Joaquin, younger women like Rebecca Nestler, and even once again, Remnant leader Rob Day, they were making massively inappropriate comments on the feed. Anyone who's followed my social media for some time would remember this. These girls like Remnant member Jesse Ottinger saying things like, "You have the essence of a toad," or Rob Day commenting, "How did our church get Rosie O'Donnell to show up and do a live stream?" And anybody ever notice you've never seen MSB and Rosie O'Donnell in the same room? You can see the people laughing at this. And notice they they expose their true nature when something major or dramatic is happening. Like they can't catch themselves. It comes out. These are commonplace tactics Remnant uses to intimidate people. Like a school bullying sort of way to keep people in check with supporting their Remnant church. It's possibly like they haven't ever been out in the real world and seen that people sometimes actually have problems going on beneath the surface. And things like saying cruel insults don't actually help the situation. But Remnant just tells people who are struggling that they have sin in their lives if they're a few pounds overweight. They just have sin in their lives. No thoughts of seeking help or therapy, anything like that. This mindset and behavior is something anyone who, even with everything that's been shown up to this point, if you decide to stay within Remnant Fellowship or even secretly support these people, you need to be completely aware of. The mocking and targeting could happen to anybody if they start to gain weight. It could be you next. Maybe once the GOP-run government starts banning marijuana or THC, that some of you younger ones are going to turn to alcohol or food. You just wait. Give it a few years. All of this making fun hasn't ceased either, as Elizabeth has taken over Remnant. If anything, it's gotten worse. She's given her full blessing. I can see multiple places where she's laughing on these mocking text threads, giving it her support. It's their way of making themselves feel better about their own sick selves. These types of put downs and casually making fun of struggling members and insults were and still are a huge part of the culture of Remnant leaders, and progressively more and more with the active Lizzie youth. Their own self-lifting up sort of arrogant laughing with these people who happen to struggle with weight. All these things can more typically be found on leadership-only sorts of huge text threads, but they're also all over the younger ones' text threads too. They pick the people within Remnant, or even outside of it, who would be most mockable, so to speak. And they try to imitate them. With making videos, they start using fat filters. Started years ago. You can see what Ted and Candace are doing here. It's possibly someone they all know. Is this the sort of Christian leadership you want to be under, or even slightly support?
Thanks you guys so much for the Weight On website. I started getting started and I've cut everything in half. I just love it so much. And then later on I had some snacks, but I feel like they're in God's will.